Three, two, one.
Boom. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Judah Hoover, and that guy right over there is Josh Weidman. I had ear surgery last week, so
What's
I've got
cooking?
a cotton ball hanging out of my ear. Great fun times, and Josh is getting ready to walk this property. We've had some tremendous updates recently. This is the Build and Grow with Real Estate show, and we are coming to you live from the field with another on-the-ground report. We think real estate is a great way to make money, to pay your bills. We also think that real estate is an awesome way to build wealth. And Josh and I do both of those things at the same time, and we think you should too. And that's what we talk about here on this show. So, Josh, about, I don't know, 5 months ago, 4 months ago,
Four months ago.
we
4 months
closed.
ago. Don't date me yet here.
Right. We closed on this property, Hetrick, and you started leading up the rehab on it, and it's been going phenomenally well. What's
Yeah.
great about this project is we utilized some of the stuff that we actually taught here in our classes on how to use seller financing and how to use notes to purchase and do real estate. And then halfway through this deal, you decided, you know what, I kind of like this deal. I'm going to keep this one for myself. So
That's right.
it's actually
That's right.
transitioning to a primary residence for you. So talk to us about what has been going on and what has been happening over there at the Hetrick project.
Yeah. Hold on here, Judah. I'm gonna have to flip my camera, and when I do, I might have an issue, but we'll see. Let's see. Oh, look at
Nice.
that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Dude, it looks like we no longer lost you. So what's great about this project is that when we brought this project up, hey Josh, I'm
Okay.
in here. What I'm
Yeah.
telling everybody is what's great about this project is that a lot of people, seeing is believing. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people would believe and get excited and get more interested in doing real estate if they could kind of see the beginning to the end. And that's one of the things
What?
we're trying to do with this project is show people what it looked like in various stages of renovation. And now that looks like it's personal belongings that are being moved into the property.
Yeah. So I think our last update that I was moving in last weekend was a little bit more ambitious than I wanted to.
Right.
That then came to fruition. But we started moving some personal belongings in here. This weekend, the bulk of our stuff is coming in. But as you can see here, we're not quite in prime time yet.
Right.
We just had the carpets installed on Tuesday, and place looks great. We painted throughout the weekend and into this week. So we've got painted walls. We don't have our finished light fixtures in yet. There's no doors and trim. That's going to begin this weekend. But we've been working on flooring. And so as we walk through here, I want to show you some of the different flooring choices we have. If you can see the gray carpet. You can see my daughter's beautiful different color scheme. I let the kids pick out their own rooms.
Nice.
And as we go here into the hallway, we talked about these hardwood floors, and these are hickory wide plank hardwood floors. They continue into the entryway and then back into the other bedrooms. And you can see that none of this is complete, but we're probably 80% on a lot of this stuff. As we go back here into this is one of the other large bedrooms. Now, I'll tell you what, Judah, putting paint on these walls, these bedrooms were big before.
Right.
They're gigantic. They're gigantic at this point.
Right.
I mean, at this, we've got some personal belongings, things hanging in the closets, things like that. But I mean, once we've got baseboards in here, once we've got window trims, this and a light fixture, this room's pretty much done. All of the outlets have been changed out. All of the light fixtures have been changed out. It's just a matter of getting our doors in here. This is an older existing door. This will be replaced. But
Right.
we go back to this hallway, and I can tell you that, here's the third bedroom. Um, it's just the finishing touches. But I can tell you with these floors, you know, a lot of you get a lot of different choices with flooring these days, and picking out something that was going to be, um, you know, nice and comfortable and long lasting, while at the same time, I really like luxury vinyl plank flooring, and recommend it and use it in rentals, and even in flips from time to time. But we were able to get this at a price where we get a real hardwood for something comparable or less than the cost of a laminate floor.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
well, how about this? I just bought another 800 square foot because we didn't plan on finishing the office space in here
Uh-huh.
in the hardwoods, and as a result, we were going to be short. So I got another 800 square feet in an auction at $1.25 a square foot. So
Nice.
that's pretty good. I'm not even going to go into this bathroom because it's not. We haven't really tackled it, but as you can see here, we've got the slate tile in
I
the
love that
entryway.
so
Yeah,
much.
went in with a fishbone.
Yep.
Yeah, a fishbone pattern. Now, right inside the front door here, we're still playing with what we want to do. We're going to be keeping this door and rejuvenating the door with new hardware. But as we go through this, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go back with a marble or a wood threshold with that door. So
Right.
that's why you see this tile is not in. But we walk in here, and we've done all the painting in here. Um, Really came out great. The floors, this will go in next week at some point. We can't pick up those remaining floors till next week. Um, but our kitchen cabinets arrived, so we'll be able to take a look at those
Well, hold on,
next
just
week
stay
as well.
stay in there
Yeah,
for just a second. Stay in there for just a
sure.
second. This is kind of the combined living room, dining room, kitchen space that you've been talking about with this, and you
That's right.
really start to get a sense for how that space is going to come together now, and just that kind of open flow concept that you've been talking about.
Well, and that's exactly right. This house, if you look down the hallway here, I mean, it's just a comfortable, smooth transition all the way down the house. You got
Right.
eyeballs from one end to the next, but at the same time, I like how the entryway kind of separates the private space from the public
Mm-hmm.
space in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things that we looked at when we were designing the layout and looking at the function. As we go back this hallway, we go back into the master bathroom and bedroom suite. This is our laundry area has kind of become the holdover. The mudrooms become the
Right.
holdover here.
I get
Yeah. So since we were able to pick up those additional floors, we decided that we're going to put the hardwoods in the master bedroom as well. Um, but I mean, you can see here that we really just have some fantastic light in here. We've got the painting's done, great colors. As we walk back here, this is going to be our master closet with some built-ins that are going to be going along the back wall here. And then as we go into this bathroom, some of the power is on and some of it's off. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. So we've got a floor going down in here. This is going to be gray subway tile on the floor.
nice.
Had some issues with the subfloor there that will be being taken care of. This will be done today. We've got the shower pan going down and the concrete board going up today,
And
so that we can.
because it's a bathroom, we're using the water resistant drywall, sheetrock, concrete
That's right.
board, whatever you want to call it. It's usually you'll see it in purple or green if it's in a bathroom space like this.
I'm not trying to make you sick here, but it's really important. I wanted to point this out. It's really super important with bathroom remodels that you make sure that stuff is watertight. Watertight is so essential, and it seems really simple, but tile and tile membranes and and grout, it's going to keep some water out, but it's not impermeable. And so when you're putting up a tub surround or a shower surround, you need to cover up that concrete board with a water membrane and make sure that that is completely sealed so that you don't run into any issues with water seeping through and, and 5 years into your new bathroom, you got mold coming out all over the place, or you've got rotten, subfloors or whatever the heck, one of the many, many problems that can happen with water. Water is one of those things that it will destroy anything given the time.
Right.
So that's a big deal. But I mean, over the next week, this place should be pretty darn well transformed into a finished house. We had cabinets that were delivered.
Hold on, before you leave that room.
Please.
Go back. Was that the room? Turn around 180. Was that the room where we kind of replaced that knee wall that's over there?
That's right.
On?
Yeah. So along the bottom of this wall, if you remember, actually this whole back,
because this was like a screened-in porch at one point.
It was a converted screened-in porch, and they had a brick knee wall on the back. So I guess originally this was a patio,
right.
an open patio. Then they put a roof on and decided to enclose it in. And what we found is that it was a mess. It was rotted and it had some issues. So we tore out the framing, and we found that the knee wall, the brick knee wall, was not attached to anything.
Right.
It was just sitting on the slab. So we got rid of that. We reframed the entire back, and actually where the closet is in here was a built-in grill and a chimney that went straight up the front of the house, right? So I mean, we took all of that out of here and reframed the space, to put in new floors or subfloors throughout the place, and really, it doesn't look finished yet. A week from now, we're going to walk through again, and I think the view is going to be a heck of a lot different. And I think, frankly, over the last week, I think there's been a heck of a lot of change in the look of this place. Just putting floors in, it makes it feel more homey. This is the point when it starts getting that new car smell.
Yeah.
And things really start coming together, and it really starts looking like a home. But I mean, these type of projects are really the kind of things that sometimes it seems like, whoops.
No, you're fine.
Judah, you got me? Did I flip the camera or no?
You did flip the camera, and you are good.
All right, great. So, these types of projects, a lot of times they can feel daunting before things start getting finished.
Right.
You got a situation where, you're working on electric or plumbing or HVAC, or just, getting through the demo process and reframing the house, getting it to look like you want it to in a skeletal form. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the point where you're actually putting it together, it seems like in the blink of an eye, it goes from being, this beat up shell to being, the kind of place you want to move into.
Well, yeah,
so, it takes
a while.
One of the things that I really love.
It takes a while. Yeah. Is you're like, I'm not making progress. I'm not making progress. I'm not making progress. I'm not making progress. Boom. There's all this progress that's being made.
That's right.
That's what it seems like. Even though there's lots of progress actually being made, it just to the person who, when you do your first couple of projects, you're going to think that it's really dragging. And what you need to do is just trust your timelines, trust your flow chart, make sure that, if you worked out with your contractor what is going to be done when, and that you're staying to that, by the end of it, you're going to be in good shape.
Well, something interesting happened this morning when I stopped by to get the guys going today. We had somebody stop by the house and unsolicited was interested in buying it, right? And this kind of plays into a lot of what's been going on in the market right now.
Right.
It's kind of interesting I've been keeping an eye on new listings and new sales, and I'll tell you what, man, this spring, it is going to be a hot market. I've seen some really average houses listed with some really above average prices. Very aggressive plays here from um, stuff that's just hitting the market. And I think it's really interesting to see what's going to happen this fall, or excuse me, this spring. It's
Yes.
going to be very interesting to see where price points go and if we get any kind of flexibility with inventory, if any of this eases up. Because if not, I don't think people are going to have a choice but to, take what's there for the price that's asked almost.
Right. There's just simply not enough construction going on. There used to be a lot more
Mhm.
construction, and the last time that the prices went crazy, building was going crazy as well. And
Yep.
right now, that just is not what's happening. That's not what's going on. I will tell you this. I work for, yeah, as a realtor for a lot of people. A friend of mine. He's been a good friend of mine since like he was 18 and I was 22. So for basically like 20 years we've been pretty good friends. And he called me and he's like, Judah, I knew that he 4 years ago, he and his wife bought a house. Now think of where the market was 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yep.
It was not where it is right now at all. And he could not get what he wanted and what he needed out of this house. This was like his starter house. So,
Hmm.
and listed it on the and so he, couldn't get it. So I, got it filled for him and everything like that. So he called me. He's like, Judah, I just saw a house selling for like, $128,000 in December of last year. If I can get anything close to that for my house.
Judy, you there?
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
here. If I can get
Okay.
anything close to 128,000 for my house, like I want to sell my house, Judah, help me out here.
Right.
So
Right.
so here's what I did. I search and check comps, and I can't really find a whole lot out there that supports that comp. And the house that he was talking about was an off-market deal. It didn't hit the MLS or anything like that. So who knows how legitimate it was or whatever, things like that. So I list this house for 128, and within 5 hours, I have 8 showings
Wow.
scheduled for this place. And
Yeah.
it's available right now. We're going back and forth on some offers and showings and stuff like that. But like, so I mean, it's just absolutely crazy what is going on right now in the market and what we're seeing. And I think that people need to recognize where the market is going, not necessarily where the market is now. And I also
Yeah.
think that it's important, and I know this because I'm working through the mortgage process personally myself. Josh, you just went through the mortgage process to convert this over for yourself from an investment deal to a primary residence. And I mean, you had to verify and document all of your income, right? And they had to check your credit, and they had to check your assets, and they had to do
Sure.
all of the things. So it's not like the last boom that we had in the housing market was that a bubble that popped because of banks just wanting to get money out there on the street and not necessarily doing their due diligence.
Right.
I mean, we don't
Well, I,
have we're not, and so that what that led to was people buying more than one home, people speculating, people buying a lot of investment properties and stuff like that. We don't see a whole lot of speculation right now, and we don't see a
well,
whole lot of fluff or crazy underwriting going on.
okay. So it's funny you bring up the last time we had
I
a
hear a butt
bubble
coming,
pop.
Josh.
Well, it is a but because look, here's the thing. Even though the indicators, the reasons that real estate prices might go down, all the indicators say that there's not enough inventory, the demand is really high, the interest rates are still insanely low, even though they've gone up a little bit in the last week or two. I don't think that anybody in their right mind, and in fact, there was like 3 or 4 people of the right mind in 2008 that saw the bubble and
Right,
saw the reason behind it
right,
before it happened. And
correct,
before that, it had never happened before. You know
correct.
what I mean? And so I think it's important to look around and if you have to buy a primary residence, or you have an investment property that's just a good deal. It's a good deal no matter what. Great. But I think that you certainly have to be a little bit hesitant or pessimistic, even looking at the housing market and saying, okay, a house that would have sold last year for 250,000 on its best day is listed today for 300,000. That gives me pause, and you know what? Not to say that that house isn't worth $300,000. Maybe it's a situation where, you've had a delay in the, in appreciation, and certainly in central Pennsylvania. But I think it's something that you have to understand that, what, if you go to sell this house in 5 years, maybe it's not worth it to the same amount. Maybe it's down a little bit. That's it.
So I 100% agree. And what I think is important to remember is markets have cycles. This will come to an end. We will see real estate prices contract. We will see an oversupply of houses. That will happen. There is going to be a change. But it's important and to remember that what the next crash looks like won't look like the last crash, and the next crash might not even be a crash. We saw a once in a lifetime crash in real estate prices. I mean, we saw a once in a lifetime deterioration of value in real estate that took almost 10 years to come back. It is not likely that we see a nationwide total collapse of real estate that takes as long to come back. It was of epic proportions. You run out of superlatives when you talk about it. And what we're seeing right now is, now that the Super Bowl's over, and now that the snow is melting, and now that the pandemic is opening up, I feel like there has been a lot of people who haven't wanted to move and haven't wanted to sell their house and haven't wanted to go through all that hassle. I think that there is going to be a lot of people who are going to want to buy or sell real estate. And I see an increase in pace, but not necessarily a slackening of value.
Yeah, I'll agree there. And I think that people are going to be looking for a certain type of property if they're moving. That is going to be a little bit different than it was a year ago. And, these pandemic trends, I can tell you personally, like, I wanted a house that had a separate office that my kids didn't wander into, right? Like a place to go in my house.
Right.
That before, maybe I want to go down to the office and work. And you know what? It just is a reminder of how much time we often have spent in the past commuting, and in needless time consuming things that, at the end of the day, I think people are second guessing as they do look for a new place to live.
Well, and I think that people's standard of what they want is much higher, right? So we used to change our own oil and change our own brakes. We no longer do those things. We used to manage a lot of our own properties. I got to tell you, I've been in the real estate game in some way, shape, or form for 20 years. The number of people who would manage their own rental property 20 years ago versus the number of people who manage their own rental property today, vastly different. So,
well, I think maybe you have it's also a different demographic of owner. I think there's a lot more people that have, right? I think there's been a lot more people that have wandered into the real estate investment space that in the past would have stuck with stocks and bonds and mutual funds.
Right. I think that the other thing that we're seeing, and this is important and illustrative for the housing market, is people want a nice house that's in great shape. They don't want to move into a fixer-upper. And if they do move into a fixer-upper, they want to move into a fixer-upper prices. So you've got to understand that if you are going to flip houses or you're going to rehab houses, what you have in your mind of stylish, Josh, you and I are both 40. What we have in our mind is stylish is actually what was stylish in the 90s. And that was about 30 years ago. So
there you go.
So we're relatively young. So, or at least I think. Wow, I'm old.
You're middle aged. Take
So
it or leave it.
right, exactly. It's important to when you're flipping a house, do like you did on this place, Josh. Bring other people in to get styling pieces and say,
Yep.
"What should I do here?" Don't try to be the guy who knows how to negotiate the deal, can put the money together, can manage the contractors, and do the styling design. It's okay, and you should get help when it comes to. I mean, I remember when the trend was, and I didn't understand it, Berber carpet. Do you remember for
Yep.
like 3 years that we were, every house that we flipped, we were putting Berber carpet in, like right around
Yeah.
2010, 2011.
Yep.
And it was just this like, and I was like, why are we doing this? Because for the longest time, plush carpet was like a plush as opposed to Berber. Like that's what you want to
That's
put in
right.
there. And Berber carpet was all the rage. And then everybody remembered why we don't put Berber carpet in houses anymore because it pools and it's actually not as nice. And there's all these things that why we don't do it. But for a while, it's what you had to put in if you wanted to sell the house because plush carpet was like, well, that's what apartments have. I want what a
Right.
new house has. So right now, there's a lot of white tile work that goes into places that I think looks like dingy New York City rat infested subways, but it's what people want in their kitchens right now. So you
Sure.
have to you have to put that in kitchens right now if you're flipping houses. I got a buddy of mine who talks about knowing what time it is. And he just means like knowing what's going on, being aware, eyes up, head on a swivel, that kind of thing. It's like if
Yep.
you're flipping houses, you got to know what time it is. You got to know
Hmm.
what's going on and know and know what people are doing.
Yeah, man. That's
Josh,
awesome. That's good
talk
advice.
to me about one of the things that we wanted to cover today was you wanted to tell us a little bit about some tips that you had for saving money specifically on flooring. We didn't quite get to that.
Right. Okay. So there's a couple things that we got to take a look at when you're looking at flooring. It's not just the finished product that you're putting down. And what
Right.
I mean is, in this house we had concrete floors everywhere, right? So we had a lot of choices on what we could put down, but we also had some limiting factors. If we had kept the radiant heat that was in the house when we started, there would have been a lot more limiting factors on what kind of products we could put down. When you're putting down tile over old concrete or over old tile, you want to put it's called an unbonding membrane, right? And essentially, it's a layer of plastic that allows that tile to move in the case of settlement.
Sometimes you'll hear it call it as a floating floor.
Well, no. We're talking about something completely different here.
Okay.
Think about tile. When you're talking floating floor, you're talking about typically hardwoods or laminate floor or vinyl plank flooring that you don't have to glue down to the subfloor. Okay.
But
Uh,
it's the same concept. You need
yeah.
something
Right.
that doesn't bond so that it can move a little bit.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, when you do that kind of stuff, all of those things cost money, and they're not cheap. As a for instance, we were able to get a great deal on the hardwood flooring that we put in here, but the pad that went under it, you know, it was almost another dollar a square foot. And that pad is vitally important because we didn't have a purely flat surface. We
Right.
wanted to absorb any cracks or minor unevenness. We also wanted to absorb a lot of sound that came in there. And I mean, all of those things are really important if you're going to put a hard surface down in the home. With the tile, the tile that we're using for the main bathroom ended up costing about $12 a square foot for the
Oh my
flooring, which
gosh.
was really expensive. Yeah, really expensive, but it's very, very high quality. It'll last for a long time and looks fantastic. On the flip side, the stuff that we put in the bathroom was about a dollar. The other bathroom that we saw is about $1.29 a square foot. But
Right.
by the time you add the membrane that goes underneath it, you add the labor to install it, you add the thin set and the grout and all that kind of stuff. $1.29 a square foot is going to end up being closer to $5 or $6 a square foot. So when you're estimating the cost of tile work or of hardwood floors or whatever
Yeah. So what Josh is talking about there, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to add it all up, right? You got to put your subfloor in, your labor, your cost for finish, and you've got to put everything in there. And sometimes saving money here, but needing more expensive parts or components, you've got to add it all up because it's all going to come out of your bank account at the end in the wash. So we're going to be back tomorrow with another great show, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Share this, tag your friends, and be back here for more comments. I am driving, and it always takes me a second to do this. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.